Hi everybody, welcome to a 20-something's kitchen. So what are we whipping up today? Today we are making pumpkin caramel cookies. White girls out there, hold your breath. Yes, that's what we are making. It's fall season, so why not? In all spirit of things, fall. Fall. Let's get started. So what do we have on deck? We have our sugar, flour, pumpkin, of course, the real star of the show today, baking powder, salt, cinnamon, vanilla, eggs, and a ton of butter.
Hey y'all, I'm Paula Dean. Butter.
And then of course we have our little caramel friends who are going to mix in there and make the cookies right. So let's get started. In our little bowl here, I've already measured out 2.5 cups of flour just because I was running low and didn't want to take the time for you guys to be watching me dig it out of the flour bag. So we had 2.5 cup flours, and to that I'm going to measure out equal parts baking powder, salt, and cinnamon. So half a teaspoon of each is going to go right into the flour. Dump the salt in, and then we'll just give it a little mix all together here. Once those are all incorporated together, we're just going to set this aside and bring our big bowl over. So the next step is creaming the sugar and butter together. So I have 14 tablespoons of butter here, and it's been sitting out at room temperature, and I've pre-cut it for myself, so it just makes it a little easier to mix that and the half cup of sugar together. I'm going to do it by hand, but if you have a mixer, that probably makes things a lot easier. Set that aside. And then half a cup of sugar, as mentioned. And I'll cream that off. Alright, so our butter and sugar are nice and creamed together. Should just look like this. And then to that, we're going to add 1 egg yolk. Just separate that in a separate little container here. Oh, we've got some breakage, people. That's okay. It's already out of the white, so we're good to go. So pop that in there. Set it aside and wash your hands really quick. Next, we'll add in 2 tablespoons of vanilla. Just give that a quick little mix. What an intoxicating smell. Vanilla and butter and sugar. I mean, Lord Almighty. And the next sinner going into this pot is the pumpkin. So we're going to put half a cup in there. Oh, and that's more like a cup. So measure that off. And dump it right in. And then mix those together. So that's all mixed in together, and next we're going to be adding our dry ingredients into the wet. Just take a measuring bowl I have here. And just go ahead and slowly incorporate them. It may take a few minutes. And then I'm just going to add the last of it here. You can use your hands if you want. Get in there. Get a little messy. And what you're going to have is this really pretty orangish reddish looking dough. And that's going to look awesome in cookie format. And impressive. and just form it into a little ball here. And what we're going to do is just set this in the fridge for 20 minutes so that it sets and makes it easier to stuff with the caramels and for the cookie to cook off. So we'll put this in the fridge, and then next we'll just cut up our caramels into bite-sized pieces. So the dough's in the fridge, and I'm going to grab about 4 to 6 caramels. And yes, this time of year I do keep soft caramels in the house. Everyone's got to have a little treat to themselves in the fall. I must say, fall is my favorite season. Not just because pumpkin flavored everything, but it's honestly the weather. I feel like people's attitudes change in the fall. They're actually nice people to talk to because in the summer, I know especially myself, it's all humid, the hair is crazy, attitudes are on edge. It just, fall is like a good fresh breath of air. And the benefit is at night you can open up your windows, you don't have to run your air conditioning, and you get a good night's sleep in a chilly room. So just go ahead and unwrap all your caramels. Okay. So they are ready to be cut up. Clean up the knife thing. And we'll just cut them into fourths. So they're going to start in little squares. At the end, we'll just have 4 little caramels. And if you want, you can break them down even smaller than that too, which I might do. It'll make it easier to stuff the cookie. So I'm going to finish chopping up the rest of these caramels, and we'll meet back here in 20 minutes to create our cookies. See you in a bit. So we are back. Our cookie dough has been cooled, and I brought it out to our cutting board to join the caramels here. And I've lined the baking sheet with parchment paper, so let's get started in building our cookies. So we're going to take the dough and form about a 1-inch ball. Here you go. And then we'll rip it at a little less than a half. And then flatten out the larger part. And then from here, you're going to be adding your caramels. And it's your preference, you can do 1 to 2 per cookie. For starters, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 in. Then take the littler piece and flatten it out. And you don't want it to be as big as the large one, but just slightly under the same size. And set it on top. And then make sure that the edge is neat. And you can flatten it back out to its cookie form. So they're going to be about an inch and a half in size. And it's ready to go onto our lined baking sheet. And one thing that I did differ besides the caramel from the original recipe is that in the original recipe, it didn't call for caramel, but it does call for the cookie to be coated in sugar. So you have that yummy, crispy, sugary outside, and they're super soft in the middle. You can go ahead and try that with this recipe with the caramels. I opted not to, but I'm sure it's fabulous. And if you do want to find the original recipe, it's just right down there for you if you want to check out her blog. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up putting these cookies on the baking sheet. I'm going to place them about 1 inch to 1.5 inches apart just to be safe. Throw them in the oven at 350 for about 10 to 15 minutes. And just make sure you're keeping your eye on them because you don't want them to burn. So I'm going to finish up the cookies here, and we'll reconvene to enjoy our ooey gooey delicious pumpkin cookies.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
So the cookies have been out of the oven for a couple of minutes, and I just set them on a little plate behind me to cool a little longer. And of course, I couldn't control myself, so I went ahead and grabbed one. Kind of show you to you guys here. You can see the caramel on the inside there. And when you eat it, it's honestly just like this soft little puffy cloud of pumpkin caramely goodness. It's amazing. You have to try them out. Let me know how you like them and enjoy. Thanks for watching.